Bobby, tonight is a special night. We're about to see Vince Carter, number 15, hang up in the rafters. When you got that call about tonight, what was it that made you want to be here?
Well, I mean, everything. I mean, I told Vince this, and we'd done a podcast with him earlier in the week that he played a big part in kind of saving the organization. I said, as much as Jason Kidd brought life to this organization back in 2001, getting Vince in that trade in 2004. I mean, I still remember when it happened. He played a huge part of it, and I just couldn't. Flew all up from Florida, and I joined this cold weather. I'm not used to this cold weather, but I just couldn't miss it.
When it comes to Vince Carter as a player, you just mentioned about how he helped save this organization. Just what was it about him as a player that brought so much to it?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people counted him out after, certainly after what happened in Toronto. To get here to a Nets team that was kind of like in an in-between period. We had lost Kenyon Martin to Denver, and Kerry Kittles had been traded. And it was kind of like that next phase as far as, certainly we still had Jason Kidd here. And to see the all-star player that we saw in Toronto, and it didn't come right away, because when Vince was traded here, he had an injury with the Raptors here, but he certainly exploded onto the scene, and then certainly 3 years of going to the playoffs here, and it was another chapter in that 6 years or 7 years of going to the playoffs, and he was certainly part of that.
You've heard a lot of words to describe Vince Carter. Vinsanity, he's electric. How would you describe him from your perspective, a guy that knows this game so well, the X's and O's? What would you say to describe how Vince Carter was as a player?
Well, the dunk, right? I mean, there's so many of them. I think that the biggest thing, and I go back to the game in Toronto, him going back there, winning his first game, the three-pointer, like the ability to handle adversity, a player that was booed relentlessly. Now we see when a player is traded and they go back to that and they're booed, I'm like, no, you never saw what happened in Toronto, basically a player against the country, to be able to do that. And of course the dunks, right? The dunk in Miami over Alonzo. I mean, you can't forget about that.